Good morning. A stand-up paddleboarder has been injured in a suspected shark attack on the Sunshine Coast. Nine's Rob Morrison is there for us. Rob, good morning. He's got quite a story to tell. The man has spoken. What's he had to say?
Yeah, good morning to you, Davina. Well, thankfully, he is going to be okay. His injuries are pretty minor, but what is clear, like you said, he now has a good story to tell the grandkids. It was around 7 a.m. this morning when Craig McDougall was on his paddleboard in Bells Creek behind me in Pelican Waters on the Sunshine Coast when he felt something tug on his leg rope. He then reached down to see what it was. It's then, he says, a 1 metre bull shark bit his wrist. It actually nicked his artery, so he was losing quite a lot of blood. Thankfully, though, he was able to make it back to shore here and walk home around 1 kilometre away and call paramedics. They rushed to the scene to treat him, but take a listen to Craig's story in his own words.
Something's got tangled in my leg rope. It's pulled me off the board and then it's grabbed hold of my hand and tried to pull me back into the creek and then let go. Pinched it off so it stopped bleeding and I walked home.
So you jumped out and walked home?
Well, there's no other way. Just no other way. There was no other way. And my phone's at the bottom of the ocean.
As for how much Craig has been rattled by all of this, he says not only is he going to be back in here tomorrow paddleboarding, he also wants to go for an afternoon swim.
Good luck to him, Rob. Thank you very much. Up to 500 people have been evacuated from a popular Queensland campsite to escape a fire. Flames engulfed the reception building and restaurant of the Adele's Grove camping ground at Mount Isa around 1 a.m. One camper was treated for minor burns while everyone escaped unharmed. The cause is now under investigation. An allegedly out-of-control drunk driver has destroyed a car in Sydney southwest, leaving its owner with a huge repair cost. Tiffany Genders is at the scene for us in Bass Hill. Tiff, good morning. What's the damage like?
Davina, a huge mess has been left behind here at Bass Hill. For starters, the car behind me is a total write-off and the family that lives in this home is still without power. They have been in the dark since about 8:30 last night when an out-of-control car launched through this intersection. It was seen flying past homes before slamming into a power pole and then landing on top of a Toyota Corolla. Residents came running outside at the sound of that bang, including Sarah Awad, a 24-year-old who had just bought the Toyota Corolla only 24 hours earlier.
I had bought it literally the night before, so it got dropped off to me the night before. Barely drove it to work and back, and that's it. And I had just registered it into my name that afternoon, just before the accident.
There is a lot of people that walk around here at night, so if there'd been someone walking along that footpath, they would have had absolutely no chance.
Neighbours pulled a 51-year-old man from the mangled Ford and held him on a fence until emergency services arrived. Back at the police station, he allegedly blew .163, which is more than 3 times the legal alcohol limit. That man, who is also from Bass Hill, has been charged with high-range drink driving. He has lost his licence and will have to face court later this month.
Tiff, we'll leave it there. Thank you. There's an urgent health warning this morning for Queenslanders after a child from Brisbane returned from an overseas holiday with measles. The infected child visited Just Pharmacy, Marumba Downs Shopping Centre and Tigum Shopping Centre. People who developed symptoms including a fever, runny nose and sore red eyes and were in those key locations should seek immediate medical attention. The number of South Australians killed by the flu has now exceeded the state's road toll with 82 deaths so far this year. 5 of those killed were under the age of 65, with the youngest just 15. There are fears the actual number, though, could be much higher, with health authorities struggling to keep records updated. Doctors are encouraging everyone to get a flu shot. Some Australians will have an extra $1,000 in the bank in a matter of days as the tax office works overtime to deliver tax cuts to low and middle income earners. And it comes as Treasurer Josh Frydenberg rejects calls for further measures to stimulate the economy. Fiona Willan has the very latest from Canberra. Fee, good morning. Will these tax cuts be enough to reboot the economy, though?
Well, Davina, perhaps not on their own, but economists say there is already plenty of stimulus in the pipeline. So there are interest rate cuts, measures for home buyers, the lower Australian dollar, which will benefit our exporters. So when you throw tax relief into the mix, well, it is expected all of these factors will help get things back on track. More than 650,000 Australians have already submitted their tax returns. The tax office worked through the weekend to try and deliver these refunds as quickly as possible. The first refund should start hitting bank accounts either later this week or next week. Now, there had been calls for further stimulus after the Reserve Bank said the government should do more to boost the economy, but the Treasurer has rejected those calls, saying it would put the surplus at risk.
This will make a real difference, $8 billion into the economy as a result of these tax cuts, together with, as you say, the rate cuts, which are significant, as well as some of the changes APRA has made to the prudential regulation, which will also help the flow of credit out there in the economy.
Now, around 10 million Australians will get up to an extra $1,080 back. Davina?
Fee, we'll leave it there. Thank you. It's suspected a bus driver has fallen asleep before skidding off a highway and plunging into a roadside drain, killing at least 29 people in India. Locals were horrified at what they saw when they arrived to help passengers. 18 people managed to survive the crash. American billionaire Jeffrey Epstein has pleaded not guilty to operating a sex trafficking ring in the US. New York prosecutors say from 2002 to 2005, Epstein lured dozens of girls, some as young as 14, to his home and sexually exploited them. Epstein's previously struck a secret deal to avoid significant punishment in a similar case. They're beautiful pictures from India's second highest peak, but they have a heart-wrenching story behind them. These are the final moments of 8 international climbers swept away in an avalanche in May. The footage was recovered with some of their bodies, including that of Australian Ruth McCants, when they were found. Well, Ash Barty's #1 ranking is safe for now, despite crashing out of Wimbledon to the world number 55. Ben Avery has the very latest from London.
Well, she's disappointed, Ash Barty, but she does concede that she was outplayed at Wimbledon here today. She started very well. She actually scored 4 consecutive aces to start the match. She won the first set 6-3. It looked as though it might be a formality for her, as it has been in the first 3 rounds, but then the wheels started to fall off. Her American opponent, Alison Risk, started to get on top. Barty's first serve started to falter. She lost the second set 6-2. And unfortunately, she went on to lose the third set as well, 6-3. So the Queenslander now out of Wimbledon, and also her 15-match winning streak comes to an end.
And today wasn't my day. I wasn't, I didn't win a tennis match. It's not the end of the world. It's a game. I love playing the game. I do everything in my power to try and win every single tennis match, but that's not the case. So I think, today it's disappointing right now, but, give me an hour or so and we'll be all good. And, the sun's still going to come up tomorrow.
Now, Alison Risk moves through to the quarterfinals now. It'll be her first quarterfinal at a Grand Slam. It's going to be a tough one, though. She's taking on Serena Williams, the 7-times Wimbledon winner, who won easily here today in straight sets, 6-2, 6-2. So that is shaping up as a blockbuster quarterfinal. But unfortunately, all of the Aussies now out of contention.